Good evening. Welcome to today's live discussion. Vande Mataram. Har Har Mahadev. So today's discussion is on an international topic which has very strong, very deep-rooted geopolitical consequences. So this session of today's I have kept it in English so that international audiences and experts can join in the live discussion. Although I do my own geopolitical analysis, but I do not have a network of analysts or influential lobbyists because in geopolitics it all works into the networking system and the lobbying system. So whatever I speak on my individual basis. So I would request individuals and those who are concerned with what is happening in Europe may join in. If you can speak in English and if you have a good grip and understanding of the geopolitics, so those people are welcome. Where should I start from? See, Dutch government has already fallen down. There's a big crisis going on in Netherlands. France, you have seen major violence. France is almost on the collapse. Germany, Italy, Britain, you must be hearing random scenes of violence of uh, migratory people not able to blend with the European society. So just a second. So if you look at the Western Europe, it's totally now in the grip of the Islamic forces because of the heavy migration, heavy influx of these ideologies. Europe is Western Europe, especially, is now a very highly liberalized and individualistic society. But Europe is now almost on the brink of Islamization because the Islamic ideology is totally against the liberal thinking, is totally against the progressive values of the European society, and so it is not able to gel with them. And since these are predatory ideologies like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and all those things, and communism, so these ideologies keep on, harboring that hatred and violence with the other communities. They always want a opponent to fight with. But now in Europe, Christianity has dwindled. People have, are not so seriously followers of Christianity. So Islam has taken over. And according to my assessment, I know I am making a very controversial statement, but I have done my own network of analysis. And if you connect the dots, you may arrive at my conclusion. According to me, the whole Islamic jihad is funded, is nurtured, and is ideologically backed up by the communist. So this dichotomy of believers and non-believers is creating that friction. Now, European society, as you know, is also an imperialistic society. It's not like Asia, or it's not like uh, how other civilizations were. So Europe progressed due to the imperial movements, where they went to the other parts of the world and they colonized them. They looted them. They introduced their sex slavery and all those. The dark history of Europe is very well known. But once they became rich, once they became powerful, and once they attained those wealth, they also realized that this is more than sufficient for us. Now we don't want to do all those BS things which their ancestors did in the past. So Europe went into a cocoon, and after the World War II, after the Second World War, actually I don't call it a Second World War. I call it a European war. Strategically, if you look at it, it was a European war. So France, Germany, England, all these people were fighting with each other. Later on, okay, I agree that Japan and America also joined in, but they were a marginal player. The central players were the Europeans, and America is nothing but an extension of the Europe. So anyway, so this after the second European war, technologically technological upliftment of the European society was done at a very very rapid pace, because all these colonies, they were exhausted. We were looted. Like, since I am from Bharat, I can tell you my story, that Bharat was looted. We had the Britishers looting us. The French looted other colonies. The Germans looting the other colonies. So every European nation had their own colonies and they looted them, and they were fighting amongst themselves. So we had to pay that collateral damage. Anyway, so this is about the past. But now, what happened of the Second World War was that Europe tried to decolonize themselves, and they had that white guilt that we had tortured, we had done a lot of damage to others. So slowly and slowly, as the technology progressed, they also realized that we need to allow the migrants to come in and settle in, because Europe was also an aging population, and the child birth rate, the total fertility rate, TFR, went down drastically. So in the last 50 years, the total fertility rate of the Europeans has dwindled very fast. While if you look at Islam, especially, I'm not talking about uh, a particular place. Like, Islam is now a uh, it's a pan. What do you say? It's a pan-European, pan-Asian, pan-African ideology. It has surpassed all continents. Now it has gone to even Latin America. Anyway, so the Islamic growth rate, the birth rate of families following Islam has been tremendously high. So they believe in increasing their numbers, and slowly and slowly capturing the share of the landmass of countries where there is freedom, liberty, freedom of expression, and all those things. So if the human values are good, Islam progresses very fast. But the problem with Islamization is that once these people get into that, they try to uh, muscle through their own ideology, which is not acceptable in today's world. If you say I'll do jihad, uh, violence is not acceptable. So the world has progressed leaps and bounds, but the Islamic concept, the Islamic worldview, still remains in that, you know, that tribal cult of the of Arabia. So that is totally against the human ethos and the, what do you say, in today's world where people are, where humans have realized that it's better to, follow their own path rather than do violence and, grab others people, make people slaves, loot them, and all those their thinking has subsidized. I'm not saying that it has gone away. France still has a lot of colonies. uh, Britain also controls many colonies through its proxies. So all those things are there, no doubt about it. But overall, if you see, that thinking, that radicalization of the Europeans has subsidized at a very, very fast pace, and it's almost gone now. An average European does not think that way. The politicians and the communist in Europe, the white communists, they are the main, what do you call, the mischievous people, the mischievous guys who nurture all these ideologies because they want to see to it that they need an opponent to bring down. So, uh, so the Islamic forces have tied up with communists. They use the communist ideologies of liberty, freedom, and the labor movement, the socialism, all those communist traits they use to spread Islamic ideology. So that is why the people of Europe are confused. And another problem was that they never paid heed to what Bharat was saying. Like, we have been victims of Islamic jihad for last 1,000 years. If you notice, and Bharat, that is, now you call it as India. So, but the original name is Bharat. So Bharat used to always tell that terrorism, the Islamic terrorism, is the central cause of all problems. Pakistan is used as proxies, but the Europeans were supporting Pakistan because it was part of their Abrahamic ideology, and they never paid heed that terrorist, this ideology is so dangerous that it will burn them also. So we have paid the consequences when we used to raise this in Britain, Germany, in Europe, in United Nations. We used to tell them, but nobody used to look at us. Only Russia used to support us. Anyway, so Russia is USSR that time, so it was also a communist country. So communism also spread in India. So now they were they were supporting the jihadi ideology. The communists were supporting the jihadi ideology from the backhand, and at the front end, they were playing as if they are our friends, and they were saying, we are very we are friends of Bharat. We love the Vedic system. We love the Hindu culture, and but Hindus should also support communist ideology. And slowly, the communist ideology was creeped into the Hindu mindset. So the secularism and, we are all brothers, we are all same, and all this nonsense was introduced. And the Hindus are, I always call them Chindus. So the Chutia Hindus, they fell into the trap. They still could not figure out that that the person, the ideology which is trying to be our friend is actually our enemy. But thanks to our civilizational trait, uh, we uh, we we had certain intellectuals who bust this all myth, what was going on, the conspiracy. And we warned the Europeans and the Americans, the white people, that this Islamic jihad will one day come to your door also. And this is what is happening in Europe. If I tell you the insider information, you will be shocked to know. uh, has anybody of you heard of a name called Tommy Robinson? He runs the English Defence League, EDL. This is a right wing organization in Britain which is fighting the Islamic jihadis, because this Islamic jihadis, especially from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, from India, the subcontinent jihadis, they have settled in Britain, and they they have grooming gangs. They rape the British children, the British girls, and the British government is not able to do anything. Even the girls are so afraid, they do not report all these cases to the police. They are so terrified, they are not able to report these cases to the even their parents. So all this was going on. Nobody was taking heed to it, because, as I told you, the Europe went into the mode of communism. They became atheist, they became agnostic, and the communists took advantage of all this. So agnosticism, atheism, all this is fine, but if you shift towards communism, that is the most dangerous thing to happen. But atheist and atheism and agnosticism is a stepping stone towards communism. So the communist ideology prevented the whites to even play the victim card. And whenever anybody raised the objections, then the Islamic narrative used to be Islamophobia. You have an Islamophobia. So how beautifully they worked with their propaganda machinery, you have to study this. So the geopolitical consequences has to be studied. All the other ideologies, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Sikhs, the Jains, the Gnostics, all these people have to realize that the Latin Americans, they all need to see, they need to watch, and the Africans also, the African original tribes who have still not been colonized by Christianity. So all these ideologies should closely monitor Europe and see the geopolitical consequences, because this will impact you, because the next target will be uh, Asia and Africa and Latin America. So Islamic ideology believes in totalitarian violence. These are all social psychopaths. And the communists, who are the globalist psychopaths, the globalist capitalist psychopaths, are nurturing them, because the depopulation agenda, the new world order has to come. So they are using these foot soldiers, these zombies, to destroy you. So I would request all the geopolitical watchers to come on one platform and talk about it. From my experience, I can tell you, from my strategic analysis, I can tell you the Hindus are the most coward people on earth. They don't have the brains, they don't have the depth of analyzing the opponent, and they are backstabbers also. So I don't expect any uh, any first step coming from the Hindu society. Even though we have been victims of the Islamic terror for last 1,000 years, my estimate is that around 2 billion Hindus have been killed. But still, we do not recognize our ancestors. We do not recognize the sacrifice of our ancestors. we are in a denial mode, and we always want to be we have that anxiety that colonization has creeped in our mind. We always look for endorsements from some others. So I would urge all the geopolitical strategists to pay heed to my this video and learn from the experiences, because it's not as if that uh, the entire Bharat was controlled by the Islamists. We had pockets of Hindu warriors, of the Dharmic warriors who took on the Islamic jihadis and wiped them off. Only because of the Europeans coming down in India uh, as traders and then colonizing us, we were not able to wipe out the Islamic cancer from Bharat completely. Otherwise, we would have done it. So, I would request the Europeans, the thinking guys, that you should collaborate with the experience of people from Bharat, the geopolitical experts, the narrative which Islam brought in India and how they captured us and how they controlled us. We can help you in countering that. But we also expect that in future the Christian colonization should not come to India. We will also expect that you do not allow your Christian missionaries to be active. You will see to it that you throw out the Christian missionaries from our land. So that is what we are looking for. So anyway, this is my analysis, and uh, my future prediction. Or I'm not an astrologer, but my future prediction is that Europe is in big trouble, and you do not have the numbers to fight these jihadis. And the propaganda machinery is totally against the Europeans. And I would urge, it's high time that you take care of yourself, because once Europe is controlled, all the free movements, all the libertarian ideology will vanish away, and then this Islamic jihadis will be bold enough, and they will crush Bharat in no sooner or later, because once the Europeans are gone, the Hindus will automatically surrender, because they are highly subservient kind of mentally retarded people. So I'm sorry to say, but I have to say, because I am also born in this land. I know how uh, people in my country think. But anyway, it's not as if every person is like that. There are a handful of people who are actually fighting, and who know what jihad is, what Islamic ideology is, who nurtures them, who controls them, and we are fighting the communists also. So this is what I wanted to say. I would have I would have been grateful if some European guy or some person who is settled in Europe, who comes to the show, if they can throw some light also. So if such experts join in, or some person from the ground comes in, then we will be able to analyze this situation much better. But I can tell you that all this problem in France, in Germany, Italy, Britain, and all those is is run by the globalist psychopaths. So Islam cannot they don't have that much brains to nurture their ideology to take over the world. So the brains behind them is the communist. And I have been warning people in Bharat also, but nobody pays heed to my comments. Because anyway, let's forget it. So this is what I wanted to say. So if anybody wants to join in, please let me know. But only those people will be allowed to join in who can speak in English. There will be no Hindi uh, experts allowed today. And I don't want generalized people to come in and gossip about it. If you have a geopolitical analysis, if you have a geopolitical understanding, then please, you're most welcome to share your viewpoint, and I would be very happy to learn from you. So please do let me know. I will be happy to share it. In case if nobody joins in, then after 5 minutes they'll take in the Hindi audience if nobody joins in. But I would be happy that I have a session where only we speak in English today, because today's topic is international. It's not a local topic, or it's not a adhyatmic topic. So I would love to have somebody join in. And please share your please give your introduction, who you are, where are you from, and then you can come to the chat, and then we can take this discussion forward. By the way, I was watching the podcast of this. Okay, Navya ji, okay, welcome. I'll take you. But please make sure that you speak in English only today, okay? So I'll give you the StreamYard link. So, since he's studying journalism, I think so he must be knowing because mass media, journalism is mass media. So journalism is totally controlled by the communists and the Western mind. So I think so he can put a Western perspective to it, because our subscriber base is basically Hindi speaking crowd. So I think so we don't have international people uh, who will be able to join. Yes, Navya ji, welcome to the live chat.
Yeah, yeah. So I was hearing like today's topic and all about it. And since I'm like a journalism student, I know a few things about this topic. And I also have my relatives in Europe as well. So since I am on regular basis talking to them, they have given me a few things which are not that well like accounted for in the news media and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most welcome, most welcome. Please continue.
Yeah, so the talk like Islamization of Europe, that is like true. Most of the people think nah, it just might be a cultural thing, or those people coming over there. Like recent events regarding Sweden and the thing they have done with like the Holy Book of Islam, or the events that are going on there. Not to mention like the 2009 Manchester bombing and stuff like that. Like the events have been so circumvented and happening all over Europe that it forms a pattern. And
Hmm.
according to your thesis that all of this is being controlled by a evil political ideology such as communism, it makes sense from my own experience as well after like studying this and like analyzing it. Your
Because
analysis checks out.
Yeah, because if you see journalism, yeah, it's mass media. So
Yeah,
this mass media is controlled by certain individuals.
yeah,
If you if you connect the dots, if you go into the depth,
yeah,
all these media channels across the world, either they are left wing or right wing,
yeah,
right? And the
yeah,
left wing narrative is also controlled by these same people, and the right wing system is also controlled by the same people. And these
yeah.
people always put the narrative of, you know as if they are the most progressive and the most liberal people, but at the same time they always nurture the violent ideology. So Islam could have been crushed very easily by the media, but the media always nurtures Islam. It always portrays it as a victim. So don't you see a pattern behind that?
Yeah, it totally checks out. Like, if the media wants to show us the reality of Islam, nothing is totally stopping it. Of course, there are like dangers associated with like showing the truth to the masses, but still, if they really want to crush it and they go it with the force of like a lion attacking its prey, they can totally crush it within a few days. Like, everyone on the planet can know the reality of this like toxic ideology, and they can decide for themselves, like, does this need to survive in the progressive world that they are continuing to build? But still, the media doesn't do it because they're puppets and they're controlled by the puppet masters.
So my analysis is this is all a game of the globalist psychopaths. So the
Yeah,
psychopaths think that everybody should be fighting with each other, and once they fight with each other, we will be selling weapons, we will sell violence, uh, we will degrade the human values. They now these globalist psychopaths always support the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ, homosexuality, and all this perverted thinking to the child. They'll show that to the children that you know what is sex, and if an adult is raping you, it's not bad. You can change your gender if you're not comfortable. All this
degenerate
perverted, this
ideologies.
they
Degenerate ideologies.
degenerated the filthy, stinking ideologies,
Yeah,
which is totally, it does not fit in the human mind. It's always
yeah, totally.
supported, nurtured, and promoted in the name of liberalism, in the main name of progressive ideology. And once you have this perverted ideology, then naturally will have a counter ideology, which is again a perverted totalitarian like Islam, which says no, no, all this is bad. You should go to that Arabian cult movement where everybody was safe and this and that, and the women should be not be naked and blah 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 and all the. So these both ideologies are extreme. So
Of course, of
since they
course.
don't have an adhyatmic background, so they don't know where to start with and where to end with.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to say. But I fail to understand why the Europeans are not taking the help of us, because we have been victims. We have fought them for last 1,000 years. We can help them. What stops
because
them?
because the main reason is that while your point checks out in like a utilitarian perspective, but ultimately we are still the enemies of the Europeans, because before their like pre-Christian era, we would have been their like pagan kind of common friends. But now, due to like the Christian beliefs that have centered around Europe for like the past 2000 years, they still believe that we are their enemies because we are like the non-believers in their own terms. Of course, they are not as aggressive towards us as compared to like Islamists who are like totally trying to wipe us out, but they are still like doing us trying to wipe us out in an intellectual way or in a kind of a soft power centered kind of a way. So I think they might need to take our help ultimately when it comes when they it's time for when they're closer to the extinction level. But still, they would rather die than take our help in the initial stages of their extinction, because while Islam might not be the compatible ideology here in Asia, but it is still one of the cousin ideologies of the Abrahamic cult. And Abrahamic cult comprises of three ideologies: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So while Islam is fighting with its own cousin ideology, trying to like convert them and all that, but still, like, Christianity has that same kind of level of hatred, not that much like well expressed, but still that level of hatred for us as we are like
Hmm.
pagans.
Hmm. No, but that's true. I totally agree what you're saying. But now the question remains: is it not true that the same Christian ideology, the Americans and the Europeans, the right wing, the American right wing, the Christians, I would say, let's not call
Yeah,
it the right wing, were they not the people who bombed them? Were they not the people who bombed Iraq, Iran,
they did, but
Libya, Syria?
yeah, that's true. But as you mentioned earlier, like we have Chindus here, we also have some level of like, like what do you call it? Brain dead Islamist people who are just like sheep. They need some master over them to kind of
Hmm.
command them, and they do it.
Hmm.
So, there is one theory that also goes around that America, being the most like most technologically diverse and most advanced military on the planet, it would have
Hmm.
already known about like its intelligence services like FBI,
Hmm.
CIA, or Homeland Security would have already known about like the 9/11 attacks and all that. It let it happen because it could launch its propaganda against like its war
Hmm.
on terrorism. Because
Hmm.
once the like the mishappening happened, like the tragic event of 9/11 happened and a lot of people died, America got the public support in order to officially launch this large scale like
Correct.
war on terrorism kind of event. And after that it kind of sanctioned Iraq and all that kind of places. So it
Correct.
established its monopoly over war on terrorism, and through that
Correct.
it funded the war while making money out of it.
Yeah. So terrorism was given a brand name, right?
Yeah,
America was selling terrorism, and in the name of terrorism, it was also terrorizing others. That
yeah,
if you do not,
it was like we will save you, and we will also like we will be the problem creators, and we will also provide you with the solution.
correct, correct, correct. So that is what most geopolitical analysts, even today, who are the celebrities, who are very well known in the social media space, also they never talk about it. I have been speaking about this for last almost a decade, but nobody pays heed to my comments. No media channel, no social media channel, not even a Hindu guy even invites me to talk about all this. I have been so shamelessly going to each and every person that please listen to me, but nobody wants to listen.
Yeah,
Even after being the victims, even after suffering, and even when it's almost sitting on your neck, then also people are not ready to listen. What is happening? I don't understand. Is it some kind of a black magic
the
that you
mental
can't see?
colonization is too hard for our resistance to break through. It is too
But
like it is at this point it is like next to impossible to kind of
hmm,
break through to the majority of the people. Of course some people
hmm,
are here and there who are writing a couple of books that might become popular, or some people, but most of the people while they are underground they will talk about controversial topics like we are discussing here right now. But once they gain the
hmm.
popularity and they come into the mainstream media light, they have to like shy away from their main side, the main thing that got them popular in the first place. So it is that they
Ah,
those people quickly change teams. That is,
that's true. That's true. I agree.
yeah.
I know because Mohammad Das Modi also, used to be totally anti-Islamic. Now he is worshipping them. He is now
But
nurturing them.
the reason is justified for him. No, I would say worshipping, but his closeness or his like empathy for the community is kind of justified, because ultimately he needs votes in order to stay in power. But while he is in power, I one like solution for from my side would be like, if a politician really wants to do it, he might have to show a facade or just like an illusion that he's a lover of Islamic people, not a lover, but just a empathetic person towards every community of the on the in the country. And once he gets into the power, he is in the power for 5 more years. He can do anything he wants, none, and he can like literally like uproot the community and turn the tides in his favor. But he doesn't do that. Either he's lazy or either his moral values are too lazy.
Anyway, I totally disagree with this thought. But anyway, I'll not dispute it because I understand,
Okay.
and we cannot speak all these things publicly. I know the real reason, but I can't speak all those things publicly. Anyway,
Okay.
so what is your relatives in Euros saying? I mean, what is their understanding since they are
I
on the
have
ground?
one of my aunts living in France, and recently I talked about her regarding the violence that is happening there. and she didn't have a clue like why is this happening, because she's not into all this religion and all that kind of things, and the geopolitical impacts of religions, ideological clashing and all that kind of stuff. But still, she said that the situation is really bad. They have burned hundreds of years old of worth of books and libraries and all that. The public property collateral damage, it's like in billions of dollars or something like that. The France GDP is going to like have a huge break after this, like the violence gets controlled, if it gets controlled, not when, if it gets controlled, because the people we are dealing with, you cannot have when with them, you can only have if with them.
So she's living in France for how many years? I mean, roughly.
it, she has been like married to a with her like husband from India, and they both work there, so she has been living for close to 16 years at this point in time.
So does she not know that France is facing this violence on a regular basis? There have been very bigger
Just
violences
like you
to
said,
go.
the common people cannot connect the dots as we people who like really look into the details of things. So it is that
Hmm.
uh, they are like
Hmm.
common people, they just want
Yeah, yeah, I
they
understand.
are
I
having a,
understand.
yeah.
They believe in, okay, I follow my principles.
Yeah,
I
it
do
is
not
like
disturb others.
they
Yeah.
have an instinctual kind of thing. Yeah, they know that instinctively, everyone knows that, yeah, Muslims are not good people or something like that, but they are like they ignore their instincts and they only believe
Correct.
the propaganda that media tells them.
Correct. 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 And nobody wants to stick his neck out to speak about it. They will
Of
say,
course,
okay,
your
let it be.
family can get in trouble and all that. Your identity
So,
leaks out and all that.
that's true. Because the global narrative
Because
is, yeah.
yeah, yeah, there was one more thing that earlier when people used to stick out their neck, despite that, what would it would bring a lot of calamities over their families. It was due to the
Hmm.
fact that they didn't, they were doing it for like their dharam, if we can say that. Uh,
Hmm.
because you said yourself in the like the past few streams, that you are doing this for dharam. You are not associated with any one person,
No,
and
no,
for dharam, even sacrificing your family is a good thing. So
no,
those
no,
people
that's
had,
true. No,
yeah,
no, but see, Europeans do not follow Sanatan Dharma, so we cannot
yeah, they
compare
don't.
them. So we can't compare them with us. So see, today's topic is geopolitical.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
cannot mix our
yeah,
own
morality in a way. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
our way of thinking cannot be mixed with that. We'll have to look it from a geopolitical angle only.
Yeah,
So I would say anyway, but I understand because any common person who who's not fanatic, for him he will not be able to analyze how a fanatic thinks unless and until say like
yeah. He becomes one. In order
yeah
to catch a
becomes
thief,
one
you have to think like a thief.
think, and he or she has not encountered those ideologies, so he thinks,
Yeah,
okay, let it be here. Why should I, it's not my cup of tea. So like 20 years back, I was also like that. I was not too much engrossed in that, but by fate or by God's design, I came into the scene, and once I went deep into it, I came to know what is going on, who is doing that, why they are doing that. So this is all uh, part of the game plan, the bigger game plan which is being played, and it's all a propaganda war. So no doubt
yeah.
people are going to get brainwashed. So
Of course,
no
there
problem.
is one more thing that the communist, not to, they are doing other things to the countries, like, for example, social structure, the family structure is getting destroyed, the
Hmm, hmm,
degeneracy, the prevalent
hmm,
like exploitation of people. So these are like the sideways they are misdirecting people from the main thing, that is like the Islamization
hmm.
of their country. So the thing is that
That's a
if people are
collateral
distracted,
damage.
yeah, if people are distracted by what are they going to like last year Europe's energy kind of meters got above the way reference level, so it was like people are literally dying to turn off their heaters, and the government is telling them to save electricity, you don't have to turn off your heat in the winter. So it is like
No,
that
no, no, it is
government
not
is,
like that. It
yeah,
is. I see what you said is right, but see within that also there is a big conspiracy.
yeah,
You see, Europe and all those have went into very high inflation after this
yeah,
Russia-Ukraine war. Now, this
yeah,
Russia-Ukraine was initiated forcibly. Why? Because the Europeans, Americans were provoking Ukraine. You join NATO. You join NATO. Right? And Ukraine also said, okay, okay, we are, because that puppet Zelensky. that fucking idiot. He's a comedian, no? He's a
Yeah.
TV serial comedian. So that comedian became the president of Ukraine, and he said, "Okay, I'll copy the West. I'll also become part of Europe." So Russia was bound to fight with them. Russia had no choice. See, if Pakistan says, "I will also join NATO,"
It was a question of national integrity and national
no, it
security. So
was
yeah.
a national security. So it's a matter. So this inflation came, energy prices rose, and that is why their politicians were telling them, the Europeans, "Oh, okay, since we are not buying gas from Russia, since we have cut off the gas from Russia, do not burn the heaters and this and that." But is it practical? Is it good that
No,
you
but they
make
were
the
still
and
buying the gas, and I
yeah.
would like to like give the credit here to our like foreign minister who kind of called their bullshit out for this. But still, it can, but still, like Europe is buying gas and
No,
America is all. Yeah,
but the gas prices shot up almost 70-80%. An
yeah.
average household, an average European was not able to afford. In fact, I came to know, I saw a lot of videos where especially in England, a lot of single parents, because they don't have that family structure, they don't have that living with parents, everybody is individual. So single mothers, single fathers, they were not able to manage their monthly expenses. And so, I mean, they were almost on the verge, they were like crying. They had to borrow money from the credit cards and all those things, and somehow sustain.
It is just
And
like
I
that.
was
These are like propagandas to kind of get the population to accept the Islamization, because
that's true.
once you like mentally destroy someone, they are much more open to accepting a new way of life because they find their salvation in that. They are so fed up
Correct,
of the old system that they will be willing to accept the new one because they don't have a
correct,
choice.
correct. That's true. That's true. That's perfect. Your assessment is perfect. That is my assessment, and I have been speaking about it for a long time. But Europeans, I don't understand. They are the most. I know what has happened to them. Have they become so liberal that they are ready to die? Are they ready to give up their freedom and everything, whatever the Europe stands for? Europe, at least,
Maybe they
okay.
have the same problem as we do, like they not a common thread, not a common thread present there connecting all of them. Like they are so
Hmm,
liberal
hmm.
that they have forgotten. Like we
So
have
that,
our like dharam, which
hmm,
still connects us on some level. They don't even have the
correct,
bare minimum version of that. Those
correct,
people
correct,
are so individualistic that they believe there is no common ideological factor or like
correct,
adhatmic factor connecting all of them. So once
correct.
they don't have any factor, it is easy to cut each one of them off and break them. Like a
Hmm,
wood can be easily broken if it is in the part of a big structure like a tree.
correct.
Yeah.
So, yes, your assessment is right. And I have also, chalo, should I speak or not? I don't know. So I'll speak about it. See, there is one theory which I have, explained in details in my past videos. Nowadays, I don't talk about it. Is the order and the chaos theory.
Yeah.
So Europe used to be an orderly society, right?
Yeah.
And they used to call Asia, especially the Hindus, the Buddhists, that you are a chaotic society,
Yeah.
because we don't have any central ideology, we don't have any central narrative,
Structure.
we do structure. So we are a chaotic society.
In
So
other terms, like a liberal society, not scattered but not well organized.
no, not liberal. See, liberal for them, the Western term of liberalism, the word liberal is
Yeah.
different,
Okay.
and the Hindus think liberal as something different. So actually, the word liberal uh, has to be applied to the Western terminology. We cannot take liberalism as chaos as liberalism. See, Adhyatmic liberalism is different. Our
Yeah.
concept of God and spirituality, or whatever you want to call it, is not absolute. While their concept of God is also in order, it's a hierarchical model. Their God, their so-called God. I mean, I'm not trying to endorse it, but I'm trying to say their God also gives commandments, right? Just like
Yeah.
a CEO. of a big multinational company, he has many branches, he has many this thing. So he just give commandments, and then it comes to the managing director. The managing director then gives that instructions to the board of
The
directors.
Pope
Board of direct
or some. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have an orderly structure. While in our case, it is not. It is individualistic, right? Because our way of system is the God is directly trying to communicate with us. We connect with God when we do that meditation. We are directly in touch with the God. There is no mediator, there is no hierarchy, there is no this thing. Okay, guru and parampara and all those is there, but if you look it uh, in a nutshell, then it's a direct connection, right?
There is a structure, but it is not as rigid as it is
No
flexibly. It is a
structure,
flexible structure
half flexible, but in a
in a
way,
way.
it is a direct connection, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
it
guru
is.
says, oh yeah, guru gives you a mantra or something, and he says, okay, now your connection is there, now you establish it directly.
Yeah,
He Guru gives you backing.
yeah.
Well, in their case it is not like that. Even if you have to analyze their books, so you have to follow, you have to take the permission from their this thing, their religious scholars or their popes or their imams or whatever it is. So there the thinking is different, and it's an orderly society. So in an orderly society, in a chain of commandments, the progress can be done very fast. So
Yeah,
if a corporate body can take quick decisions, while if you see a traditional family run business where there is chaos, there is no central commandments, there is no hierarchy in this is the whole family is like, employees have to listen to the family, and each family member is his own ego and all this thing. So if you see, family run business is more like a chaos kind of a thing,
yeah,
right? So they are not able to progress, they are not able to take quick decisions. While, like, let me give you an example of a military is, any military you see, it follows a chain of command, it's in total order. So the military can take quick decisions, it can fight, it can, win battles and all those things. So that order has, I think so, led and to the Islamics who also have an order. So since that order of the Europeans have been broken down, it is now become a chaotic society, violence and all those things. So they are not able to digest how to counter that. While in our case, since we were born chaotic, we had no central system, so the Islamists were not able to break us totally.
yeah.
So in a way, it was an advantage to us. And this theory should be, uh, for a strategic thinkers, for geopolitical thinkers, for them, it should be an eye opener that how even after so much violence, and even after facing colonization for 1,000 years, how we are still surviving. It's a miracle.
Yeah, yeah. Everything you said is absolutely like correct. But one more point I would like to add, like the during the pre-Christian era of Europe, like what they used to worship earlier before Christianity, like the chaos part of like our society would have been true for them as well, right?
Uh, no, because see, it was a tribal culture. See,
Yeah,
Vedic system was in a order. You understand? See, Vedic civilization was in order because if you see pre-Christian era, pre this thing era, we were there from Afghanistan to Indonesia, right?
yeah,
Hello. So Vedic system was existing there everywhere, but we had our own local social and linguistic model also. So
yeah,
our order was an underlying order. Our unity was an underlying unity. It was not from top down, it was from bottoms up.
yeah,
You getting me?
yeah. I am getting this.
Yeah, so our was like a deep rooted unity. Like if you have a tree, if you see the roots are always there in the ground, and if the roots are very very strong, the tree can have many branches, many leaves, many birds chirping and all those things. So I call it as the jungle model. Our ideology, our way of living was a jungle model where every diversity was celebrated, right? Because in that jungle, a tiger also lives, right? A buffalo also lives, a deer, herbivorous, carnivorous animals also live. Within
Yeah,
carnivorous also, there are many different types of carnivorous animals. Then we had lot of herbs, shrubs, trees, water, right?
yeah,
Oxygen. So a jungle model, if you see, is chaotic, right?
yeah,
While Abrahamic Europe, especially Europe,
yeah,
let's forget Middle East. Europe was, even though it was a non-Christian society, but it was not a jungle model. It was a tribal model where you have pockets of oasis, pockets of tribes surviving and trying to build their own narrative, more known ideological identity. And in that ideological identity, they were fighting with each other. If you see, the Vikings were there. The Vikings were also a tribe who used to, loot the other Europeans and all those things.
but the
So
common connecting thread is that they were all pagans.
see, pagan is a very derogatory term. You
I
research what
know,
is
but
the word.
don't have any like other any word to kind of word refer to them, or let's just say they were like multiple multi god worshipping people.
No, but multiple god worshipping does not mean they had unity. See, if
Yeah,
there are two
that is true.
fruits, that does not mean both are apples. One can be an orange and one can be an apple,
This is just
right?
my personal belief. I just believe that they used to follow a variation of like Sanatana Dharma as well, but it was in a more of a tribal kind of a fashion. Because
No, no,
if you
no,
look
no,
at the
no.
tribes from Assam, and Nagaland, that is where like my father has been for a couple of years. He has been in those tribes for a couple of days, and from what he has saying is that these people worship like the tantric variations of our devas and devtas and all that.
So that's true, but you cannot compare Nagaland with Europe because see, that tribal is a jungle tribe, and Europe is
Yeah,
not a jungle tribe. You understand? Europe is a
yeah,
different climatic zone, different way, and different set of thinking. See,
yeah.
pre-Christian
That is
era,
true.
pre-Christian era cannot be called. You cannot call them as they were following our way of model.
No, I'm
Sorry,
not saying they
because
were strictly following like the Vedic path, but I'm saying they were like they were close to us back then compared to they're close to us right now.
Because see, what is Abrahamic ideology? It's a brainwashing program.
Yeah, totally.
Abrahamic ideology is nothing but it's a brainwashing program. Even if you just remove Abrahamic and communism, see, if you remove belief and non-belief, then anybody will be a seeker only, na,
Yeah,
right? Because then he cannot say absolutely. See, you understand?
yeah, I do.
Atheist, communist, they say absolutely there is no God. You're getting me?
Yeah,
And the believers, the Abrahamic ideology is no, no, there is absolutely God, and my
it is
God is
their
the only
God.
God. My
Yeah,
God is the only God, right?
yeah,
These two conditions are there. While communism rejects everything, they will in fact reject Hinduism. They will in fact reject God when they, even if God comes and tells them, he'll say no, 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 I don't accept, because the mindset has been already occupied. They have made their mind that we will not believe any, like we will not accept anything. So when a human being rejects that I will not even listen to others, he becomes a psychopath, right?
yeah,
Like Hitler. So he became a psychopath. He was not ready to listen. People told him that please don't start this war. Millions of people die. He said, no, no, I am not interested. I'm not ready to listen. He started the war. So see, always psychopaths anywhere. I'm not saying it cannot be done. I mean, there are not psychopaths here also in our system. There are psychopaths. But what I'm trying to say is, since Europe was not a Vedic system, it cannot be, it never came close to Vedic system. Vedic system has been very unique to Bharat only. They were always in awe. They were always respecting. They were used to look at Bharat as a, as a, some kind of a miracle. That is
Then
why
one
the
question
European
comes
call.
that why did not like God enlighten them with the Vedic path and all that? If he was just being born on like India, like I know in the past India's boundaries were like during Raja Vikramaditya's time, most of the historians didn't believe he existed. I believe he did. His times were during like the Middle East and all that. So I'm like, why did like Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva not enlighten them due to this path or all that? Or why did
See,
Rishi Munis didn't?
see, see. Before, see, Satyuga is the complete Earth is Vedic. Dwapar, it is, Treta, it is
Yeah,
shrinking.
yeah. So that is where like
Dwapar, it
my
is
question
shrinking.
gets answered. It gets answered automatically.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think we were
So
talking during the like the Satyug period, but you are talking about during the beginning and the end, beginning of Kalyug and the ending of Dwapara. So yeah,
yeah. So in
yeah.
Satyuga, it was not 800 crore people on Earth. There were
It was
hardly
just like
80
the
crore.
Jambu Dweep and all that.
Yeah, and the population of human beings was also very less. No, it was hardly 80 crore people on Earth, the entire Earth.
Yeah,
You're getting me?
yeah.
Now the population has risen drastically. We have 8
Yeah,
billion people on Earth.
because still we find like the Vedic kind of things there. Like last year in Middle East, it was found 8,000-year-old temple which had a like a Yagya Shila and all that, and Lord Vishnu's 6,000-year-old idol was found in Russia, I think. And there is a country which was part of USSR. It's now called like Lithuania. Their language has a lot of Sanskrit verses and words, as well as they used to worship like three devis. I had a like a Lithuanian friend which I used to talk on Facebook a couple of years
I
back.
know that.
He,
I know that. I've seen that.
yeah,
But let's not discuss that today because then the topic will get diverted.
yeah, yeah.
So some other day we can discuss
But
all
still,
these things.
your point still stands corrected and upright that Europeans are still like clueless on this because first of all, there is their government. Like let's just assume their government is also being controlled by the communist puppet masters, and their
Yes, yes,
government is
absolutely.
and their government is too busy distracting them from other kind of like shit. And after that, uh, the Islamization of Europe is coming on their houses. So it is like,
Yes, see, you see in last 24 hours the Dutch government has fallen down
yeah,
because all the coalition partners, they are not agreeing on migration. Last year they allowed 28,000 migrants in their country. For last 20 years, slowly and slowly the numbers have been rising of the migratory people. And now what has happened is this year they were saying we'll allow 46,000 people. So many, I mean, the local Netherland guy. I mean, if you look it from a, like suppose you are a Dutch citizen, you are a
from
white
a Dutch
person.
perspective, yeah,
From a Dutch perspective, you will feel now why you are allowing outsiders. See,
of
suppose
course, I
I
totally
go in
understand.
Europe, I'll have to adhere to European standards. I'll have to adhere to European culture. If
Yeah.
they can be topless and on the beach and all those, I'll have to respect that. I cannot say I am from a Vedic
uh,
system, so you have to
yeah,
accept what I say.
one thing is that being topless is not actually their original culture. It's just the
It is,
derogatory values that have been
no,
kept.
no, no. I'm not. No, no. I'm just giving an example. I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
trying
yeah.
to.
I understand. When in one's
Just an
culture, you should
example.
do as the one culture says you should do.
Because see their upbringing, their see it, because it takes time, na. Whatever it is, I'm not judging it, but what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say is, where like suppose I go to Middle East, if everybody is wearing white clothes, I'll have to wear white clothes. I can't say
yeah.
I'll wear multicolor T-shirt like beach party dress, uh,
It's
because
not practical as well as it
it's
doesn't make sense
practical
there.
and I cannot impose my belief system on them. So,
Yeah.
and that is natural and human. But it should not torture me. That also is sure. Like,
Yeah, it's. I was just like thinking, if you go there and you are not a heavy drinker and they offer you beer and stuff like that, would you
huh,
go? Yeah.
No, no, I will not take that. But see, I have, I mean, I can say that Europeans have truly like they have accepted a lot of human traits.
Yeah.
In fact, in certain respects, they are better than Sanatanis. They are in human value systems. In certain respects, they are much better than us. Like we are still in certain respects. In certain respects, we are still not
Yeah.
that progressive.
Maybe
While
they
our
are. Maybe
Shastra,
they are.
yeah, yeah. Because see, they respect. I've seen them. They will ask you once or once, hardly once. They will say in a very soft way. If you don't accept, they will not try to impose their values, or they will not make faces
But if
or
they were hardcore Christians, then may God
see
save.
hardcore Christianity. They would not even allow migration, right? You
Yeah.
cannot even go there and settle. See,
Yeah.
now this is a globalized world. Now globalization is
Yeah.
controlled by the capitalists, right? And these capitalists are communists.
Yeah.
All the
These
capitalists
are
are
like
basically,
chameleons changing their colors.
you can say that way, but actually they're psychopaths. They
Yeah.
feel we control the world because we have the money, we have the power, we have the brains,
So the
we know
main
everything.
culprit is the human tendency for absolute control over everything.
So that is communism. That is Charvak. That is a Charvak philosophy.
Yeah.
Charvak is the same philosophy. That is why I always say Charvak is communism. And that is the most dangerous thing. Bhagwan Krishna said, don't even argue, just kill them. Because they are too materialistic. See this materialism. Now let's come to the
Charvak,
point.
what does like Charvak exactly mean in like Sanskrit? Like atheist or a non-believer or what is it?
Charvak means you can call it as it's not believer.
Like the person who doesn't believe in the Vedic way or something like that.
No, no. Who says that I challenge God? This there is no God, and all this is all absolute nonsense. And like you, there is no philosophy of karma. There is no philosophy of dharma. Nothing is. All this is man-made, and it's better that you live life. You please your senses, the five senses. You eat well, you drink well, you listen to this thing. You enjoy. I mean, basically enjoy, and don't fall into the trap that you will have to pay for the consequences. So if you want to enjoy, you beg, steal, borrow, loot, do everything, but you enjoy. Now if this ideology,
Basically pleasure your senses, like not to the
pleasure is,
optimal point, but to the point of overstimulation.
it's like dacoits. See dacoits, what they do, they will kill, they will do everything. Why? To please their senses, right?
Yeah.
What does a dacoit get out of it? He's not here to eat dal roti, he's not here to feed his. So they enjoy. They feel that since we are powerful, we can kill. They, in general,
They
I'm
have the
talking.
power, but they forget the responsibility from it.
No, not forget. I mean, if it goes deep into your mind that I am the only person who controls the world. There is no God. There is nothing. So that is Charvak philosophy.
Uh,
So Charvak,
but they forget they are only controlling the materialistic world. The God is still above them, and still He is like the ultimate decider of
and
everything.
even see materialistic world also they cannot control
Completely.
because completely, yeah, because these five elements, Prithvi, Agni, Jal, Vayu, Akash, these
The
five elements,
Panchbhutas, yeah.
so Panch Tattva is also manufactured by God only, na?
Yeah.
So, and these are sacred. In Vedic philosophy, all these five elements are sacred. We worship
Yeah.
the earth as Mata, as mother, right?
Yeah.
We worship the fire also. We worship the air also. We worship the Akash. So everything is sacred. These five elements are sacred. That is why I say on this planet there is no opponent of Sanatanis. We are the only opponent of ourselves. We fight with ourselves. So don't blame others.
Yeah. So yeah.
So from our perspective, but since others have not evolved that much, from their perspective, we'll have to take them as our opponent.
The sad thing is that they, like in their past janmas or their past births, they would have been evolved to the point to understand all of this. But since
Hmm.
they have like not attained moksha or whatever the reason is, due to the effect of Kal Yuga, as well as they are not that much connected to the Sanatani ideology, they have like lost that thing.
Hmm. Correct.
Yeah,
So anyway, that is we have discussed all these things so many times, so there's no point.
yeah.
So I think so we'll have to end the stream. There's nobody else joining in, and
Okay.
I think so. No comments also from anywhere,
Yeah,
and we can choose another topic, something, and we can talk about all these things. We can carry forward our local discussion in our local language,
yeah,
uh, and
yeah. I'll
you,
just
you
join you
if
in
you
a
have,
minute. I'll just join you in a minute. I have a call
if
incoming.
you no, I'll end the show. I just have a request. If you feel you have a topic which can be discussed, you put it in
No,
the
I think
comment
this
section.
this this topic is was good enough for today, and we covered a lot of points which was like
Huh.
needed to be
So in
covered.
future, so if in future you have anything, you can always put in the comment box. And
Yeah,
there were requests in from last yesterday's video. 2 3 people have commented that we also want to join the discussion.
yeah,
So for them, I want to tell that you are welcome, but we will only take those participants who introduce themselves and those who stick to the topic. You cannot come and talk about anything that you want. This if there is a specific topic, you will have to speak on that specific topic only. And if you know something about it, just coming in the stream and sitting down, and it won't help. So it's better that you speak on something which you know about, and if you have something that we need to discuss, we are ready to take it. Just put it in the comment section.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll end the show today.
Okay, okay, bro.
Okay, chalo, bye. So friends, I think so today's stream will end it. uh, those who were listening patiently, thanks to them. uh, if you have anything, you can always put in the comments box, and we can always take it forward, right? But I would request that if you have something in mind, you let me know. And we cannot take each and every random person just for the sake of taking somebody. If you have something to discuss, you are expert in something, we are ready to listen, we are ready to talk about it. Okay, so over and out for today. Chale. Okay, bye, good night. And to all the Hindi speaking crowd, by Ram Ram, Ram Jai Ram ji ki.